Good evening, everyone. I'm April Goble, and I'm grateful to be here tonight to honor one of my heroes. As the first in my family to graduate from college, with 4 of my siblings dropping out of high school, and growing up with a teenage mother on and off welfare in rural Indiana, I'm standing here tonight strong and confident because of the influence and proximity of extraordinary women like Kaya Henderson. But before I share how Kaya's journey has influenced me, I'd like to pause and take a moment to recognize Deborah Quazzo, not only for her personal influence in my life, but for her ability to bring together such an extraordinary group of women and leaders from across the country. So back to Kaya. I first met Kaya Henderson in 1998 in Washington, D.C., my first year of teaching, when Kaya was the executive director of Teach for America. I can still remember Kaya standing in the principal's office at my placement school in Southeast DC, Shad Elementary. A month before Kaya's visit, student records were burned in the parking lot, students were placed in the wrong grades, and the entire teaching staff and administration were fired. Our school was in complete chaos. Kaya was there as an advocate for our children and was there to demand change. She was fierce, she was bold, she was persistent, she was someone that I wanted to be like. Over the years, I would admire Kaya's impact on the children in DC. She continued expanding her influence even more, most recently as the Chancellor of DC Public Schools from 2010 to 2016. Under her leadership, the embattled district became the fastest improving urban school system in the country. Her tenure was marked, yes, that's a round of applause. Her tenure was marked by consecutive years of enrollment growth, the highest graduation rates in the history of the district, improvements in student satisfaction and teacher retention, increases in AP participation and pass rates, and the greatest growth of any urban district on the National Assessment of Education Progress over multiple years. In addition to all of the other accolades we've heard tonight, for me personally, the one that stands out the most is the impact that Kaya had on the community where I began my teaching career. 20 years ago, there was not a path to and through college for the children that I was serving. But this past year, 100% of Ballew's senior class applied to college, the same community where I was teaching where the chaos was the norm. This took years of service, dedication, the vision of an innovative leader to create that type of change, both on a school and a district level. And rest assured, if anyone thinks that Kaya Henderson has taken a break, her volunteer work is incredible. And I'm going to read all of this here. She's actively involved in a number of community and professional organizations, including the Aspen Board of Trustees, College Board of Trustees, Executive Committee of the Council of Great City Schools, International Women's Foundation, the Chair of the Board of Education Leaders of Color, EDLOC, Georgetown University Board of Trustees, the Pahara Aspen Fellowship, the Nevada Leadership Institute, one of my favorites in Chicago, the Surge Institute Board of Directors, Ed Navigator Board of Directors, Teach for All Global Advisory Council, and the John F. Kennedy Center Board of Trustees. At the end of my commitment in the Corps, Kaya stood in front of the DC Corps and gave me an award called the Cartier Award for Excellence in Teaching and Community Engagement. So tonight, it is very full circle for me to pay tribute to a truly remarkable woman. Thank you, Kaya, for teaching me how to lead from an authentic place. The world is truly better because of your love for the communities you served. Kaya, congratulations on receiving the Innovator of Color Award. Would you please stand in recognition and deep gratitude?
We on? That right there is what you call a tough act to follow. Yes, good evening. Good evening. My name is Henry Hips, Senior Program Officer at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and you guys sound like I feel, which is exhausted after another good GSB week. And if you are a rookie to it, you will quickly find out that this thing is a marathon. And if you step out like a sprint, you will be on your face by day 1. And so now that we're in day 3, I'm excited because this conversation gives me energy. And first and foremost, I want to thank Deb and the JSV team for continuing to offer this space for us to celebrate innovators of color and being really dead clear that, yes, it's about equity. However, it is even more about impact. And if you actually look at the diversity of lives that we're trying to impact collectively in this sector, from early childhood through K-12 to post-secondary and workforce development experiences, it ought to follow that leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators ought to reflect both those communities and bring those diversity of experiences to the table to actually find and deliver more effective solutions. So that's really what this time is about. And so we welcome all to come join us in that celebration. And so along those lines as well, this is also opportunity for fellowship among innovators of color themselves. And so along those lines, to try to continue some of that fellowship over time, recently launched a LinkedIn group called the Education Innovators of Color. Again, Education Innovators of Color, it's an open LinkedIn group, so please check that out if you want to continue to be connected to this community over time. So first, before we get started with the celebration of this year's Innovator, I'd be remiss to not hold up our Innovator from last year, Miss Jessie Willie Wilson. EdTech CEO in the game, hands down. And so Jessie, just wanted to make sure, we extended some of that love to you in the room as we presented the award to you in absentia last year. Hopefully you felt some of that love extended from San Diego, but want to make sure you got some this year. So thank you for coming. I'm really honored to honor this year's Innovator of Color, Kaya Henderson. And I was excited to see that she got selected. Kaya and I don't know each other that well, but I feel like we know each other well because we have so many good colleagues and good peoples in common. So I've been an admirer of your work from afar for a long time, and recognizing that the challenge of changing lives today while thinking about deep, really innovative change, we got to actually focus on where folk are now, right? We need in-system innovation. We need really deep commitment to kids today to drive innovation from the inside out, right? And that is very much the story that Kaya represented in DCPS. And so let me really quickly read off a few of her accolades. I'm not even going to try to get through all of them. But Kaya served as the Chancellor of DC Public Schools from 2010 to 2016. And under her leadership, the Embattled District became the fastest growing urban school district in the country. Her tenure was marked by consecutive years of enrollment growth, highest graduation rates in the history of the district, improvements in student satisfaction and teacher retention, increases in AP, participation and pass rates, and the greatest growth of any urban school district in the country on NAEP scores for several years. So that deserves a round of applause right there, right? And so kind of skipping forward to some of the additional accolades, what boards are you not on? So Aspen Institute, the College Board, International Women's Foundation, the chairman of the board of Education Leaders of Color, which Kaya founded and I know is her one of her passion projects, on the Georgetown University Board of Trustees, the Pahara Aspen Fellowship, and I could go on. And so if there's any question about how in demand Kaya's innovative thinking is, while she's kind of taking some time off, in air quotes, she is actually working on some really fascinating work, and much of it's focused on innovation. So she's working with Jim Shelton and the folks at Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, as a fellow, working on both strategy and program work. She's also a distinguished fellow at Georgetown University, where she's focused on innovation in higher education, and also interestingly on racial reconciliation. How many folks have been tracking that Georgetown story, right? About the sale of slaves and how that actually footed the bill for the growth of Georgetown, and how they're now coming to terms with what that means in their history, and in a sense of reparations, right? A lot of those family members are now getting scholarships, so Kai is involved with that work. She's also superintendent in residency at the Broad Academy, where she is coaching aspiring superintendents. And then, as if she needed another side hustle, also coaching sitting superintendents and offering her wisdom as, in my view, one of the most successful urban school district superintendents in recent history. So with that, I'm going to ask you to join me in asking Kai Henderson to come to stage. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you'll take a big seat. All right, I'll hold this for you. You want to say a couple of words? Let me get out of your way.
Good afternoon. I am, first of all, I have to say, I didn't know anything about this. In fact, I was booked to leave yesterday, and I got an email saying, hey, you've won this award, and we need you to stay through Wednesday. So here I am, and and so it was a tremendous surprise. And I want to first thank Russell Reynolds for sponsoring this award. But I really want to tip my hat to ASU GSV for the opportunity to be here for the recognition and for convening us. I think when I first came to ASU GSV, it was 4 or 5 years ago, and I was on the first panel of superintendents that the conference had ever had. And to see how it has grown, including educators in meaningful ways, to see how it has grown, putting diversity right out in front. I just want to commend Deb and her amazing team for the work that they do for this conference. And I stand on the shoulders of giants. I cannot believe that they put Miriam Wright Edelman on before me. Oh my gosh. But Miss Marion has always been a hero, and she has most recently become a friend. And when I quit my job a couple months ago, she called me up and she said, let's have lunch. And I was like, Miriam Wright Edelman wants to have lunch with me? Yes, right? And so we go sit down and we have lunch, and she says, you did a really good job. I'm super proud of you. And I said, great. And she said, you know, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to take some time off. She said, is somebody going to pay you? And I said, yes, people are going to pay me. She said, okay, that's good. I need somebody to pay you because I got some work for you to do, and I can't afford to pay you. So she is serious when she says get to work. And she is going to put each and every one of us to work, whether you can pay us or not. But I feel, and so at the beginning of June, I'm going down to the Haley farm, and I'm going to go do some work for Miss Marion, because that's what it takes. And I'm really pleased to have shared the stage with her. I also want to thank my people. Like, I got lots of people in this room, right? People like the sort of charismatic individual leader. But no good leader does their work by themselves. They do it with teams, and they do it with people who support them, whether they work with them every day, or whether they see them a couple times a year, or whether they big them up on Facebook or Twitter. There's a community of people who have enabled me to be the leader that I am. And so for each and every one of you out there who knows that you are my people, this award is for all of us. It's really important that people know that I didn't do this by myself. And I guess the last set of folks I want to thank is my city, Washington, D.C., because it gave me an unprecedented opportunity to literally change the world, to change what people believe about poor Black and brown kids, to change how we expect and what we want from all of our young people. It gave me the opportunity to create and to innovate and to take the entrepreneurial spirit that has been cultivated in me from the time I was small through my professional career and bring it to bear on one of the most intractable systems in this country. And I had a ton of fun doing it, and we made a huge impact. And that's not something that a lot of people get to say. And so as you all think about what innovation means, I would challenge you to not think that you can only innovate outside of systems. In fact, the most necessary and urgent innovation needs to happen within systems. Because while people have the luxury of going out and creating something brand new from scratch, there are kids who are sitting in front of us every single day. And we owe them as much as we owe the children of the future. We owe them the caliber and the quality of education that we want to create in these all new settings. But somebody has to attend to the children that we have now. And coming out of my Teach for America experience, I watched all of my colleagues be really frustrated with the system and go off and start new schools or work outside of the system. And the question that I continue to ask myself is, the most vulnerable, everybody who can get out does, right? The people who are left in the system are literally our most vulnerable children who have no other options. And if we're watching all of this great human capital leave systems and go create things for other people, who is going to attend to our most vulnerable? Who's going to provide them with the caliber and quality of education that each of us wants for our own kids? And that's what I had the opportunity to do in DC public schools, and it worked out pretty well. So thank you for recognizing the work that we did as a team in DC public schools. I hope that the takeaway is that system work is not impossible. System work does not kill you. System work does not beat you up. I'm doing all right, right? But it's going to take more of us working both inside and outside the system to bring the kind of change that we need, to deliver on the promise that Ms. Marion has so eloquently articulated in terms of saving our children. Thank you.